I made the same game 3 different times, and no, this is not part of a cool game dev challenge. No, I made it 3 times because I just suck at making games. The big inspiration for these games came from a game called The Wind. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. It's called The Wind, not The Wind. This is by the same guy that did the Faith series. It's a pixel art horror game, really simple graphics. Okay, so I only just realized this after I finished editing. The Wind, the pixel art horror game, was based on a movie by the same title. So my games here are based off of a indie developer's game, which is based off of a film. I really like the concept of isolation that it portrays to the player, and that is what I wanted to reach with these games. I wanted the player to feel isolated, trapped, very much alone. Let's take a look at the first version of this game. We have this little girl. She has a looping animation, making it look like there's wind just constantly whipping through the area. I kind of liked how that turned out. There's not too much to explore here. You see, we have a dog that is following us. The dog turned out really nice. Not only does he look kind of cute, and he's got a really peppy attitude with his navigation. When he comes into contact with an object on the ground, and it can interact and pick up this object, it kind of floats. He'll kind of follow around and he'll check out the object. He'll sniff it. And this would happen with any new object that I put into the game. There are some pathways that you can follow through here. There is nothing up there. The player can also enter into this house. Rustic looking cabin, very kind of dirty, very dark. So here's some of the problems that I have with this game. One of the first ones is that it's pretty bright for a horror game. Another problem that I had with the game, there was a lot of detail in the art. I was making these different sprites for every single movement of the wind and the clothes. It was a lot for me, and it was taking a lot of my time. Because this was one of my first games, another big problem was that the code was very messy. The game was organized very sloppily. It still is. It doesn't really have much of a game idea. There's not much to do. So all those things combined, I decided to try again. So let's talk about game number 2. The first thing you're going to notice is that this definitely lost a lot of color. I decided to change this game into, I don't really know the color terms. Is monochrome? Is that what this is? I would just call it ugly. I decided to change it into different shades of purple, and not a very pretty looking purple either. The reason why I decided to do this, I felt that some of the older black and white films that I'd seen did a really good job portraying darkness, contrast, a dread to them. I take that from watching things like The Twilight Zone. The ones that are in black and white, they definitely have an edge to them that is provided by the black and white atmosphere. And I wanted to portray that in here, but I wanted to be a little bit more original, so I went with purple. Listen, guys, I made mistakes. This was one of them. A big one. Let's explore what we got in this game. I made the artwork a lot more simple. I can pick up these items, and you notice that as I walk over the items, or I get into the area of the items, a little pickup option will show up. Somehow I was able to figure out how to pick up one item at a time and kind of loop through them if they're all stacked to each other. So you see that I pick up the items individually, and I drop them all. I don't pick up the same item over and over again. I don't know how that happened. I think it was just a fluke, to be honest with you. And this was going to be Mother. If she looks a little bit freaky, that was intentional. And I was going to have a dialogue system in here. Oh, there it is. I guess there is some, okay, there's some dialogue. Yep. Thank you, Mother. I had made some other dialogue portraits. This one is a old woman that I put together, maybe a grandma figure. Next, we have a old man or a grandpa. The house is here, but I cannot go into it. That's it. Some other pathways that lead to nothing. I just walked down this entire path that I created, and I don't know what I was thinking, but there is nothing down here. That was a lot of time wasted. So the reason why I ditched this version of the game, first of all, it ain't winning any awards for its art style, and I already talked about that. It is ugly. I have a hard time looking at this with pride and joy. It's just really gross looking to me. I guess I could try to fix that. I do appreciate the idea of going into black and white style and getting rid of the bright, cheery colors that the last one had, but I would have to try harder than this. I had the idea that I could use these items to progress me through the game, not in the sense that I would actually be using the items, but rather just putting it in the right spot. Oh, glitch there. She's just permanently got her hands above her head. Yep. Put your hands in the air if you're ugly. The idea was this: just picking up an item, putting it in the right spot, and that would somehow lead to progression. That was as far as I got with this idea. Maybe there was going to be a monster. Maybe it was going to be about the little girl killing people. Maybe it was going to be about Slender Mom killing people. I don't know. It didn't go anywhere, as you can see. Let's move on to game version number 3, which has the most content in it of all the games. Before we move on, a word from this video sponsor, me. Wow, I've never seen that one before. If you think this video is interesting in any way, subscribe. It would be really nice to see some subscribers, and it also kind of tells me that this is the kind of video that I should make. Alright, here's the third version of the game. You can see we have a little bit more color here, and I actually like the color. We have a smaller character this time, kind of a smoke. It's a shader that's going on. We have a police officer in front of our house who we can talk to. You probably noticed there is a timer going on in the top corner, which is for the day-night cycle. Once the timer reaches 0, the day will be completely over. It will be dark at night. I'll talk more about the significance of the timer in a little bit. But here's the story of this game. The little girl is in this little town, which is surrounded by the cornfields, as you can see, is the yellow stuff that basically keeps the player inside the game. The town is also known for its production of this purple field, which is pigweed or amaranth. Why did I choose amaranth? I don't know. I learned about amaranth one day, and I thought it was kind of a weird plant. I was a little bit inspired to throw it into this weird horror game. This amaranth is a little bit strange in the sense that it has a demon entity that is tied to it. Its goal is to get as many people killed by its hand as possible. It has chosen this little girl to do its bidding. At the beginning of the game, the idea was the little girl was confronted, and she was told that what she needs to do to stay alive is to go into the amaranth fields and to pick a cluster of amaranth and place the cluster of amaranth underneath somebody's bed every single day. What the demon will do is take the life of the person who has the amaranth underneath their bed. As the timer runs out, the girl will be prompted to go to sleep. When the girl wakes up, you can see as you go downstairs to where the mom normally was, there's no mother there, and she won't be found anywhere in the town. She has been killed off by the demon. As the player progresses through the game, the town will become more and more empty as more and more characters are killed off by the demon. In the end, there's only the player left. I didn't really think past that part. I suppose that the demon would just then end the game by killing the player. Alright, listen, it's been a while since I dug into this game. The monster was supposed to chase the player. Here's the monster. It's a Godot, run away. For this third version, I put together this whole texture pack. It's got a bunch of characters, it's got a bunch of the Pokemon houses. A lot of different ways I could have gone with this. We have some scientists, police people, sheriff, firefighter, a nice looking lady, a nice family, this bedridden guy, grandma and the grandpa, a very fabulous looking scarecrow. I was even gonna have a plane crash scene. This game was going all over the place. Here's some versions of the monster that I put together. So the idea of the monster, and I think I was going a little bit too far with this, thinking about it with a little bit too much detail. The creature, it hollows out the inside of somebody's back, of a character's back. So see, we have this character front facing, he's your normal Joe, but in the back, you can see there's this gaping hole where he has basically been hollowed out. The monster jumps into your now skinned body and animates you from the inside. Here were some attempts at making the monster as it crawls towards you. I didn't really get too far with this. I could go far with this if you want me to. The problems I had with this version of the game was mainly scope creep, and you could probably guess that there's kind of a lot going on, and it's a bit more than my little brain can handle. On top of that, it also just wasn't very fun to play. It kind of had a cool idea going with it, but I just didn't really enjoy going to people's bedrooms and putting amaranth underneath their bed. I could put in some kind of a puzzle. You have to figure out a puzzle to be able to open up somebody's door. You know what? If you've got any ideas, I am open to all suggestions. Because you're from the future, there's a good chance that one of these games, or more, is or are finished. You should check my channel. So these are some of the first games that I've made, and it's no wonder that they didn't really go anywhere. If there was a game here, one of these versions, that you thought was interesting, that you would want to see some progression with, you gotta tell me. Otherwise, these games are just trash. This is a threat. This is a hostage situation. I'm holding these games hostage. They are going to die unless somebody gives me some reason for them to live on. If this video is interesting at all to you, subscribe. That would be really cool, and it would also tell me that this is the kind of thing you like to see. You know, I actually forgot if there was some. I didn't actually check this out beforehand. Is there something up here?